Welcome, everybody, to Video Marketing in the Age of Mobile Media. For those of you who are new to the series, this is the Web and Beyond webinars series, Marketing and Managing Your Small Business on the Web and Beyond. And this is a production of W3 Consulting. And so if you don't know me, I'm Ray Sidney Smith. I am the president of W3 Consulting and the managing director of W3C Web Services, which provides affordable WordPress and web hosting, domain name registration services, and otherwise. And so that's what supports my ability to go out there and do all of our fun digital marketing education in the world. I also happen to be a an Evernote certified consultant. I am actually one of the Evernote regional leaders for North America. There are 8 global regional leaders. And what that means is that Evernote is this note taking software, but it's actually also this really great small business productivity technology that you can use. And so I help businesses understand that and implement that. I'm one of the Google Small Business Advisors, and so I'm the Google Small Business Advisor for productivity and have been since 2016. And so I spend a lot of time educating small business owners about Google Workspace and how to implement all of the various products that Google has in that space and helping you be more productive as a business, not just in the marketing space, but also in your productivity space as well. So that's all kinds of fun. And so that's a little bit about me. Today's agenda is fairly straightforward. We're going to cover what an effective video marketing mobile strategy for small business looks like. What are the tenets of those pieces, and talking through that. We're then going to cover a plan for implementing your video marketing into your existing marketing strategy. So if you are not using video at all, mobile video in this particular case, we're going to talk a little bit about how to implement those pieces into it. And then we will talk about some of the tools, both on the hardware and software side. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about those components of really what should I be using in order to make that happen. And it turns out that it's probably easier than you think, and it's probably more affordable than you think. And so I want to make sure that we cover those pieces, and I'm going to hop over to the browser to be able to do that when we get there. So let's start off the presentation with this fact, which is that high-speed mobile broadband is improving. I have been long on my soapbox about the fact that mobile broadband should be a human right, really, especially in the United States, where we are a fairly wealthy nation, if not one of the wealthiest nations on the planet, and we should be providing high-speed broadband access to everybody. But beyond that, for businesses, high-speed mobile broadband is really the holy grail, because that means that we can run our businesses from anywhere. And right now, we are in this dawn of a new type of mobile broadband called 5G. And just so we have a little bit of understanding about what all of this means, when we think about the concept of broadband generally, we are frequently not aware of the background in terms of where this really came from. So if we think about broadband, mobile broadband specifically, you think about cellular networks, and we also think about Wi-Fi. Most people connect to their internet today via Wi-Fi, and so it's these two components that help us really access the web through our mobile devices. That could be our smartphones, it could be our tablets, and it could also be our laptops that are also part of that mobile space where we are out there on the road doing the work that we're doing. And so we are now in this burgeoning space where we not only have a new type of mobile broadband on the cellular side, which is called 5G, and it stands for fifth generation. And so fifth generation is going to bring us potentially up to 10 gigabytes per second download speeds. Think about it today when we're talking about, in the teens of megabytes per second download speeds going to gigabytes. That is 1,000 megabytes equals 1 gigabyte of download speed per second. Going from the tens of megabytes per second to 10 gigabytes per second at its highest throughput, we're really seeing a new potentially change in the way in which consumers consume video online. Remember, if my phone can only download, let's say 4 megabytes per second, 10 megabytes per second, on my smartphone, I'm not as likely to watch a lot of video on my phone because it's just going to take time and it's going to be slow. But as we see more and more throughput, that is broadband access at high speeds, now I'm able to watch a video very easily and conveniently on my phone. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we also saw a proliferation of people watching video on mobile because they were at their home and therefore they were on their Wi-Fi to be able to do that. Now, part of this is also the fact that people are consuming more on their phones because their phones are getting better. And we're getting more and more people who are getting higher end phones, and even if they're not higher end phones, they're higher quality phones because the technology has gotten stable enough that we're manufacturing higher quality phones for more affordable price. So we're seeing both the proliferation of that component on that side, and we're seeing the proliferation of the being on the road and wanting to watch content like a YouTube video, or say scrolling through Instagram and watching that kind of video on the mobile broadband, because we are going to be getting access to it. Now, 5G is not here yet. Maybe some cities, certain networks like Verizon and T-Mobile and otherwise have talked about 5G being available now, presently. It's going to take some time for us to roll that out across the entire ecosystem, but 4G is here, and 4G does provide pretty low latency, high throughput broadband for us to be able to access. So just understand that the future of mobile depends upon mobile broadband access. That is, your mobile marketing depends upon that particular component there for video. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. I wanted to just kind of lay that groundwork before we go into really what ultimately is the reason for this. So in 2014, I wrote my first book, which was Solomo Success. And in it, I really talked about this concept of mobile first. And so this is the first thing I really want to talk about when it comes to, if you want to implement a mobile video marketing strategy, you need to start thinking about mobile first. And what I mean by that is that no matter what you do in your business, no matter how you're doing it in a marketing strategy, how are you doing it from a mobile first perspective? Most people coming online today are coming online on a mobile device globally. So the idea of computing, the idea of accessing the internet and the World Wide Web is all done through that little tiny screen. And for those of us who are a little bit older, we're used to the development of computers on a desktop screen, and therefore utilizing that real estate, also utilizing a full keyboard and a mouse. We're not used to the concept of a touch screen being the primary interface for how people consume our content, especially when we're marketing to them as a small business owner. So we have to kind of turn our brain around when it comes to that. And mobile first doesn't mean completely delegitimize the desktop and optimizing for desktop experience. It just means that if you take a mobile first perspective when it comes to any marketing component in your business, you're much more likely to create a faster downloading experience. You're going to deal with, the kind of shortened or perceived shortened attention span of people today, especially when it comes to snackable content, which I'll talk about in a bit. And it also requires you to filter through what the core message you're trying to commit to and trying to convey in any particular mobile environment, right? Because we tend to put too much stock in everything we're saying. Everything needs to be so important. But in reality, there is this core message that we're trying to always present about the business. There's a brand message that you have that is an elevator pitch, so to speak. And that's the version that we should always and be continually pushing forward. And in a mobile first perspective, we can do that. So no matter what you're doing in your marketing strategy, start thinking through that mobile first perspective. How is it that your consumer is going to consume, engage with that content if they were consuming this on a mobile perspective? That's email, that's your website, that's your mobile video, that's every touch point they have, SMS, messaging, you name it, Facebook, everything, social network, everything should be thought through. Okay, how is somebody going to experience this on mobile? And then figure out whether or not you need to adopt it and adapt it for desktop. The next step is to figure out where your audience is engaging and consuming and creating mobile video. And this is important to think about because your audiences are consuming video. And we know that when someone consumes video content related to a product or service, they're 64% more likely to purchase a product or service in that space. So we know that people who are watching video are also buying based on the content they see in videos. So we want to make sure that the video they're consuming is ours, and that they're making sure that we are convincing them that we're worth considering in the process. So we want to know some basic information. And that means you need to go out there and do what I call listening. Listening is market research of sorts. And this could be on social networks, this can be on Google and other places, but you're going out there and you're actually searching for where mobile video exists. Now, you have to use a mobile device in order to be able to find mobile video, right? So your goal here is to take your phone out, go to YouTube, go to Instagram, go to Facebook, go to Google, and start searching for topics and see where video surfaces and where video may be available to you. Now, YouTube, it's pretty easy because if you open up the YouTube app or go to youtube.com on your mobile phone, it's going to show you only video. But if you go to Facebook or if you go to Google, it's a little bit more complicated because what you need to do then is you need to actually look for that video when it doesn't display it. So if I type in something into Google on my phone and I say how to tie a Windsor knot, which is a type of necktie knot, right? It's going to display not just text articles about how to do it, but it's actually going to also show me video on how to do that on my phone. And those videos are going to display at the top of my Google search. Well, if I go to Facebook, it may not do that. I may have to go to Facebook and go to the watch area, and there's a little icon for video at the top of the page, and then search for those videos. Now, if you start doing that around your industry, you can start to see what types of videos are out there and which ones are important. I'd also go to your existing audience, go to your existing customers and say, hey, what kind of videos are you watching? Ask them. And remarkably, they're always happy to tell you. People are genuinely usually happy to tell you what they're watching and why they're watching it, especially as it relates to your business, appropriately it relates to your business. Now, the reason I tell you to go to YouTube and Google and to Facebook and otherwise to look for these videos is to see which videos people are engaging with. How are they commenting? Are they liking? Are they sharing those videos? Because the topics of those videos, the types of videos people are sharing and engaging with, those are the ones you want to figure out whether or not you can create for your own business, because those are the ones that are going to get the most organic reach, the most traffic, and the most network effect, reaching the widest audience. And so we want to really find out not just what people are consuming, that's going to be at the top of the searches, but which ones are they actually engaging with. And then next is really asking as many people as are in your audience as you can, what types of video they're creating, right? Because they're engaging with the videos, but it's actually really important and for you to understand what type of mobile video might they be creating and why are they creating it. And this is very industry specific, but I found that in my world, I'm B2B, right? I'm helping support small business owners. So the types of mobile video you're creating helps me understand what types of video I should be creating. Now, in a consumer environment, that may not be the case, but it could also be, right? You can learn a lot from understanding why people are creating the types of mobile video they are and posting that video. For example, if they're creating video and posting it on their accounts, they may be talking about their felt needs or wants, the problems that they're experiencing in their own lives. And by seeing the video they're creating, that will help you say, you know what? I can create a video showing my product or service solving that problem. And now you have greater ideas, more ideas to be able to develop from there. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to really figure out the mobile marketing strategy, and I think I may have put this in the wrong order. Let's see, is this part one and part two? I think I may have gotten my little slides messed up here. But either way, this is part one. The idea here is, let me go in here and fix this because it's going to it's going to bother me that I got this mixed up here. So this is, oh yeah, this is part two. Okay, I'm right, I'm good. All right, so once we have determined where people are creating, where people are consuming, engaging with, and creating video, your second step here is to actually start to think about where in your funnel people are interacting and engaging with that mobile video that you can actually create, right? So the first step is identifying your audience's consumption, engagement, and their creation of mobile video. And then the next step is to figure out where in your own funnel you want to be creating that mobile video. Now, as we traditionally have to think about the sales funnel that I use, there are different ways you can think about sales funnels. There are cycles and there are flywheels and otherwise. I still use the traditional top of the funnel is those people who are not aware of your business and become aware of your business. So we call that top of the funnel or awareness. Middle of the funnel, which is people who know your business exists or knows a product or service exists to solve their problem, and they're just considering different businesses that might solve that felt need or want. And then there's bottom of the funnel, which is the conversion level of the business, where it's people who know you, they like you, they trust you, and all it takes is it's your deal to lose, right? It's your situation where all you need to do is convince them to go ahead and work with you. So at the top of the funnel, or in the awareness stage, we want to be able to create snackable mobile video. In this case, snackable video is short form video in many different formats. We can think about this from an Instagram Reels perspective, which is the clone of TikTok videos, if you know what TikTok is. But in essence, these are under 60 seconds. These are traditionally recorded in a portrait mode, meaning that your phone is held up and usually recorded on your phone, but you're recording your phone just like you would hold the phone in order to read and make a phone call or whatever you're doing on your phone. YouTube Shorts is YouTube's version of those kinds of short videos. And what we know as we make our way forward in the strategy, I'll talk about this in a bit, which is that you can actually utilize these videos in other ways, not just in the snackable video content space. But this is the whole strategy concept. If you know what types of hashtags, meaning areas where your audience is looking for your content, for the products and services you're providing, you can record these short form videos to make people aware that your product or service exists and that your brand exists. And so your job here is really about entertainment. I know that it seems weird, but it's really actually more performative and illustrative in what you're trying to do than actually educating your customers about how good your product or service is. In this particular case, all you're trying to do is grab attention. And you have to do it appropriately, but this is really where you're trying to gain people's attention. So how can you do things that are going to be useful and informative and interesting that are going to get people's attention? And in my business, for example, I found that news related to digital marketing is something that really brings people to the table. So in my snackable video, what I would do is create Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts where I talked about things that were happening in the digital marketing space for small business to get people aware that I exist at all. And by doing so, then I'm going to be able to create some traction there, because then I can take them next to the consideration phase. And in the consideration phase, I could do something like invite them to a webinar like you're coming to today, right? You come into contact with some snackable video or some snackable content in some way, shape, or form. You come into contact then with our profile, you follow us, and by following us, then you learn about potentially our upcoming webinar. By coming to the webinar, you could come to our live stream. We do a weekly live stream on Mondays called Web and Beyond Live. Now you're getting to know the business. You're trying to get to know the product or service a little bit better as a consumer. And so long form video content can all be shot from that perspective. Now, again, this is all presumably done on a mobile device. And so you can do this by virtue of on the snackable video content, you're doing that right on your smartphone. From the long form video content, this is really about the fact that people are consuming this content on their phones and on their tablets and on their laptops, wherever they might be, as opposed to you necessarily recording it solely on your mobile device. But remember that if you are doing that, there are platforms designed exclusively for that. So for example, there is Instagram, which is a mobile-first platform. And so Instagram and things like Snapchat and even Pinterest, which has launched their own live streaming platform, you can do all of this directly from your phone. I would really recommend that you be on Wi-Fi and not be on, say, 4G or 3G service. You should really be on your Wi-Fi. If you're capable of physically connecting to your internet, that's even better. But you can still use mobile devices for all of these. The idea is that your consumers are the ones who are consuming this on a mobile experience. That also means that when you're doing this kind of long-form video in the consideration phase, the size of things need to be a little bit exaggerated. So, for example, on screen here, this is 30-point font. Okay, this is the smallest I would probably suggest typeface to be showing, because when you're watching this on a smaller screen, the text will be that much smaller, and so it's difficult to read a lot of text jumbled together on a screen at a smaller size. And when the average screen size is around probably 3 inches diagonally, you're talking about a little bit of real estate to be able to see that content. So you want to make sure that if you're going to do long form video, that you make sure that any text on the screen is going to be big, and you're going to have good lighting and all of those pieces to make sure that you create a good experience even when it's on a small screen. I always think about the stamp example. If you look at any stamp, a well-designed stamp looks good from on an envelope, or laying on the ground 10 feet away from you. The message is and should be conveyed on that little tiny, square from any distance. And so your long form video also needs to control for that scenario. Either way, though, here in the middle or the consideration phase, long form video is where now we can capture people wherever they might be, right? They might be on their commute to work. They can be watching your live stream while they're walking to work. They could be listening along. They can be doing any number of things. And of course, they may not be able to watch in real time, so they may come back later to watch a webinar. At that point, you can go ahead and capture email. And this is where in the mobile video marketing strategy, it's so imperative that you understand this. Top of the funnel stuff, snackable content is all about awareness, just getting people to know you exist. They're trying to follow your profiles. You're getting them to follow you, like your content, engage with your content. Once they're doing that, though, it's at the middle of the funnel that we actually want to get that mobile video in and behind something that causes them to want to give up their contact information, so that we now have a one-to-one relationship with them. Because in the snackable video content, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, they own the relationship with that video consumer, right? That person's watching video from their phone, and they have a relationship with Facebook or YouTube or otherwise. In this case, ByteDance, which owns TikTok. The goal, once you get to middle of the funnel, is to figure out how to capture those email and capture those one-to-one relationships with those people. So a couple of examples here. One, with the live streams, what you want to do is you want to have a call to action at the end of each of the live streams that leads people to, say, a lead magnet, or to something that gets people to want to give up their email contact or join a Facebook group that you have running, or some other small group where now you have this smaller group of people and you actually know their names, you know who they are, and you can start to communicate with them, have them sign up for your email newsletter. Those kinds of things from a live stream now creates that kind of one-to-one relationship that you own. Webinar, same thing. In order to attend the webinar, you had to give up your email address in order to be able to get access to that information. That means now you as a business owner now have communication with that person one-to-one. So now you can start asking them questions about why they reached out to you, what kinds of questions they might have about your product or service, and otherwise. Video lectures are another way to do this, where it's not a webinar, it's not as formal, but you can record a quick video where you give instruction and or demonstrate your product and provide that on your website or otherwise for them to be able to consume. And again, the idea is that either the video lecture then engages people to sign up for an email in order to gain access to that lead magnet or otherwise at the end, or maybe they get a discount off of services by giving up their email address. But you want to basically get some type of contact information, maybe a phone number, maybe email address or otherwise. Then we finally get to the bottom of the funnel, right, which is where conversion happens. And this is where I think that mobile video is actually one of the most powerful pieces, because we have learned through the course of the COVID-19 pandemic that video is here and it's here to stay, and we're capable of actually interacting and engaging in these very intimate ways that we otherwise, maybe pre-pandemic, wouldn't have really given consideration to for probably another 5-10 years, right? And so here we are, where now, if you are in a particular position where maybe you do one-to-one consultations, as an example, you can now have customers, potential customers, engage with you, say, through a scheduling page on your website and say, hey, would you like to come have a one-to-one consultation? 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and we'll talk through whatever your particular issue is, and I can answer your questions one-to-one. And so if your product or service supports that kind of thing, that would be great. You can even do group-based buying things. I know that some folks who do consignment shops, jewelry store owners, those kinds of things, they have trunk shows where they are actually doing these mobile live streams. And so, they prop up their iPad or they prop up their phone and they are showing products on screen, and people are capable of purchasing them directly from the live event. So you can do all kinds of things at the bottom of the funnel in that conversion space from a mobile video perspective. And again, the access to you is now so simple because all they need to do is click on a link, maybe install an application, maybe even not install an application because they're already on Facebook or they're already on a platform, and be able to interact with you from their mobile phone with that video content in a live environment, right? Everybody knows Zoom now, everybody knows Google Meet, and they are capable of now having that kind of one-to-one relationship with you in that sense, okay? So just to recap, we go from the idea of figuring out where people are consuming, engaging, and creating content. Then we want to define where we want to inject mobile video into our own video marketing strategies. So that mobile video can happen in either the awareness stage with shorter form content. We can create long form content at the middle of the funnel. And then for bottom or conversion level of the funnel, we want to think about what kinds of one-to-one or small group setting type live video we can utilize to be able to close the sales. All right, so now I need to jump to, so here we are, wonderful. Okay, so the next stage is to talk about how and where we add video into our existing marketing strategies. And so what I wanted to do was to talk through just some ideas about how you might inject your mobile video into this, or the mobile video strategies or tactics into your overarching marketing strategy. The first thing I always think about is adding video to your website or homepage. For a service professional, the statistics I currently show that you have a 6x return on investment, that is a 6x higher conversion rate for those videos sitting on a homepage. That means that if you're, say, an accountant or a lawyer or a home chef, those kinds of things, if you put a video on your homepage, and it's very simple, you're introducing yourself and the business, what are your products or services, and then letting them know what a call to action is. You're talking under a minute, maybe tops 90 seconds. So 60 to 90-second video. You're introducing yourself, you're introducing your products and services, and you're doing that with a call to action at the end. That video, shot on your mobile phone, potentially if you need to, you can shoot it with a webcam on your desktop. But now someone who visits your website homepage from their mobile device will be able to watch that video and get to know you immediately and quickly in a way that they otherwise weren't able to do in the past. And them just getting to know you enables them to have a little bit more trust and an interest in being able to start the process of working with you. This is great for professional service businesses, but even product businesses where the product is a high enough dollar price point where knowing you, the business owner, or knowing someone in the business who's a subject matter expert is important enough. So I really think about putting that video directly on the homepage to get people aware of what you're doing. Like I said, it needs to be short, it needs to be sweet, and it needs to end with a call to action. The call to action could be something like call me. Here goes my email address on screen, or otherwise. Browse around the website. Remember, you're embedding this on the homepage, so you know where things are on the page. So you can say, above is a lead magnet of some kind. So you can say, hey, we have this wonderful guide that you can download and learn more about our product or service. Click on that link above and gain access to it today. So remember that, utilize the fact that you are on their screen speaking to them one-to-one, that you can actually utilize the physical space and knowing where you are on that homepage. And you would only want to embed it on your homepage and then maybe make it unlisted on YouTube, so only people who are on your website would be able to see that video. Next is embedding snackable videos on your website and in blog posts. We're going to talk a little bit about a new tool that Google has created called Google Web Stories. And this is where I think about the proliferation of snackable content. So we talked about earlier Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and TikToks and otherwise. And those videos, while they sit on the platform, they have a very short shelf life because over time they get suppressed in the search engine, right? The feed just keeps moving and more content keeps coming, and users just kind of slide through. They don't really go back to old content. And so those videos, short shelf life on any given platform, can be given new life on your website and in blog posts with good search engine optimization. And so what we want to do is we want to think about, okay, if you record a TikTok or a YouTube short video, again, 15, 20 seconds of you giving some facts or some fun history around, something that is entertaining to your audience. So in my case, say on the day the World Wide Web was born, I give a little fun fact. Today the World Wide Web was born, and I talk a little bit about, Sir Tim Berners-Lee, who's the guy who, the research scientist who developed the HTML protocol, the concept of clicking on a link. He created that, right? So I might create a little short video, maybe several videos that cover that story of how the web was born. And so I could post that on YouTube Shorts, which is where I would probably post that, right? So I post maybe 2 or 3 videos, each maybe 20 or 30 seconds long, and conveying that message. All right, well, it comes and goes. The day that the web was born comes, it goes, and now it's no longer useful, except I can now take those videos and I can take them over to my website and I can embed them in the website as a Google web story. If you are using WordPress, you can do this. Now, again, if you don't have web stories, that's also fine, because we can still embed video on our websites. So you can take those videos and now we can grab them and we can put them into, say, a blog post. And we can take that blog post and now we can embed the blog post with those 3 videos and then write a little bit of text to tell the story of what's in the video. So now if somebody comes across my blog post in Google, they're going to not only be opened up to a blog post to read, but they're also going to be engaged in video content. And we know that if a consumer comes to a blog post and there is media on it, that is photo, video, or audio, they are 10 times more likely, that's a made up number, but they are much, much more likely to consume that media content than they are to read the content. So that means that I can convey the message of what I'm writing in the blog post. Now, the blog post is what brought them to the blog in the first place, because Google, in essence, reads the text and they bring them for that. But it's the video content that's going to keep them engaged on the page and dwell on that blog post longer. And now we can utilize our snackable video in this better way. So embedding your snackable video on your website is a really great way to inject mobile video into your marketing strategy if you're already blogging or podcasting even. Next is mobile video advertising. This is just a way of creating mobile video and then putting them on platforms like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and Twitter actually announced, I think yesterday, that they were going to start doing stories type ads in their fleets, which is Twitter's version of TikToks and Instagram Reels and otherwise. So mobile video advertising is a great way for you to be able to put some ad budget into getting awareness for the business and leading them down the funnel. Now remember, do not do any mobile video advertising unless you understand your conversion level of the funnel first, right? If you do not know how to convert people at the bottom of the funnel, then don't do the top of the funnel stuff, because you're just leading people to nowhere. It's like the bridge to, a bridge to nowhere. You really want to be spending mobile video ad dollars to be able to have what we call return on ad spend, ROAS or ROAS. And ROAS requires you to have those other pieces, middle and conversion parts, pretty well detailed, but definitely the conversion side, because we should be able to go from a snackable video to some kind of lead conversion, getting contact information, or directly to a sale for a product-based business from a mobile video ad. And so many people don't have that bottom of the funnel designed and developed really well, and then they spend a lot of mobile video advertising dollars and don't get an actual ROAS. They get a really low return on ad spend. Okay, next is thinking through your customer journey. So your customer journey is all of the places that people go in and along the process for getting to your business, to your product or service. And your customer journey is something that you really need to map out. And so I highly recommend this. Think through your customer journey and where along your customer journey people are starting, getting to know you, and buying from you. So if you have a retail store, for example, people are typically buying from your retail store. If you have an e-commerce solution, people are typically buying from your e-commerce site. If you are a service business, people are usually getting a proposal from you, or they're talking to you, and then you're sending a service agreement and they're paying by invoice. So at the upper levels of the customer journey, people are doing things that are offline and online, and mobile video can be injected into each of those pieces. For example, if I were in the B2B contracting world, and I wanted to talk to some high level folks, I might take some mobile video that I'm doing and then embed the mobile video, that is, putting a little thumbnail with a link to the video, in my email to those people when I first reach out to them. So it's part of my email marketing strategy that early on in the customer journey, I'm emailing them content that's going to lead them to, say, a Loom video, or to something else that's going to engage them in the process of getting to know me, getting to like me, and getting them to trust me so that they'll come and work with me. So I really highly recommend, just if you Google customer journey map and customer journey, you'll find out a lot of content and information about building out a customer journey. And once you do that, start thinking through where in your customer journey mobile video might work. And it's always going to be easier for me to watch a video if you tell me how valuable your product or service is than for me to read a very lengthy email. So if you can write a short email with a video that conveys that message really quickly, just like the video on the homepage of the website, I'm going to be much more likely to get to like you and trust you, because I see your face, I get to connect with you in this way, and then I'll be able to more likely judge whether or not I want to work with you. And then last but not least is the ABCs in my world, which are always be capturing, always be creating, always be commenting. And so the idea here is that in the always be capturing phase, we want to simply start capturing mobile video. And the idea here is that most business owners tell me that they don't have time for creating mobile video. Oh gosh, I have so many things else that I could be doing. But the reality is that many times you're just not capturing the content that you're already creating. So for example, I could be recording conversations with my clients. Now, I'm not saying without their permission or even recording what they're saying. I could just be recording my conversations with my clients of what I'm saying. And so therefore, I can just, prop my phone up on a stand, and when I start a conversation with a client, I can then just turn the camera toward myself and start capturing that content. Now, I don't even need to use the audio from that content. I could use it as B-roll in the background, and the parts where I'm really animated, or I say something really interesting, or maybe I say something, my client says something funny and I start laughing. That kind of content actually gets utilized as potentially B-roll in other kinds of content. We want to be able to capture things like if people are milling through your store, you want to capture the content of those people walking around your store. You might even take some pans, basically moving slowly, capturing video by moving slowly in, one direction or another, up, down, left, or right, and just taking a video of that space. That becomes background video for you to be able to use in other kinds of spaces, where then you can just apply text to the screen that is telling the story of what you're trying to convey in the mobile video. So capture B-roll, capture that content, and know that you can just put that into Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, or otherwise, and just have it available to you for use later. And you will be thankful that when you go to that next event, or host an event, or have something going on, you'll be able to look at this repository of a back catalog of content you've created. And now you can say, oh, you know what? This video is going to be really useful. It's kind of like a stock photo gallery, but of your own stock content. And that can be really, really useful. Also note that mobile video, each a video is basically a series of frames with audio underneath it. But that means that you can actually extract photographs from the video. You can extract a frame, which means that you have, if you're recording at 24 frames per second, something like that. That means every second you have 24 frames, you have 24 images to choose from, which means that if you record a minute, right, at 60 seconds, you have basically 60 times 24, right? So you have a lot of frames to choose from when you get to that point. So you also now have stock photos as well as stock video to be able to use in your marketing going forward. Okay, so I just wanted to give some ideas about what you can do here as it relates to adding mobile video into your existing strategy. So at this point, I want to jump over to my desktop and go into my tools that I think you can use in the process. And so, can everybody still see my browser and my screen? Just let me know if you can see my browser and my screen. Wonderful. Thank you, John. Okay, so what I wanted to do here was to show you how to get good audio and otherwise get good mobile video into your system. And what I mean by that is that when we're thinking about mobile video, most people think about the video itself, but remarkably, it's actually the audio that matters more when it comes to mobile video. So, for example, if I am going to do a mobile video and maybe my lighting is a little bad and maybe I've got a little bit of cutout when it comes to some of the frames in a live stream, people are not as bothered by those components in a live stream than missing audio. So, for example, if all of a sudden I was talking to you and whereas the video screen right in front of you right now is a static image of Amazon, right? The reality is that if my audio went out, most of the communication, like 90 something percent of the communication I could convey to you, would cease, and that would be frustrating to you. And that is for the average consumer. And so it's actually audio that matters so much more when it comes to mobile video. So when it's possible, always make sure that you have really great audio. To do that, we have to have some good hardware. The hardware starts actually with your phone. Okay, so it's phone or mobile tablet or your laptop, depending upon how you're recording this. I'm focused on smartphones and mobile here, but just remember that you could also use a tablet or a laptop for doing some of your mobile video. It doesn't really make any difference. The goal is for you to be able to do this where you need to do it. So if you're doing it at your home and you have the technology, use the equipment you have in order to make the best video you can. Really, this is about the consumption of it by consumers on the other side. So one of the first tools that I always recommend people get is some kind of lavalier mic. This allows for you to be able to move and not lose audio quality. So, I'm sitting at my desk right now and I've got, high-end microphone and monitor, microphone mount and all kinds of other things. But if I was going to go out on the road and just use my phone to be able to record, I would absolutely make sure that I had my lavalier mic connected. This is the one I recommend for Android phones, and so this one, of course, is the brand is some brand. It's called Meat Romance, but it's the one that I typically, when I search Amazon, comes up and is a really great phone for Android devices. It's USB-C, and it allows you to be able to plug in to the phone, and then it pairs with that little tiny uh, microphone here, and this one clips onto you. So you are now capable of recording with high fidelity audio coming from you, and it's then being captured by the phone and being then broadcast, whether that's in a live stream or into a recording. And it just makes it really, really simple for you to be able to record in that sense. It works with any device that you can plug in a USB-C into, and so that's really helpful. And it just creates a great experience, right? You're getting really good sound. It does smart noise cancellation. So if you have things happening in the background, that kind of thing, it will try to isolate those sounds so that you can get rid of them. And it's Bluetooth, so it's pretty solid in terms of being able to connect. And you can be a little bit of distance from it. I wouldn't suggest you keep the phone too far from you, but if you have it 5 feet or 10 feet from you without any interruption, anything that's in the way, you're going to get a pretty good sound quality from it. So it doesn't require any app to install either. It's just a Bluetooth microphone. So it's just really easy. You're going to get about 10 hours. I've been getting roughly about 8-ish hours. It comes in around 40 something dollars USD. And so really inexpensive. I'm showing this on Amazon, but I'm sure you can find it in other places as well. The next one is for those who are upgrading to utilizing, a some kind of mount, whether that be a gimbal or some other mount for their phone. In essence, you can buy these stands for your phone. I'm going to show you a gimbal, but you can also buy a stand. And I would recommend it that if you're going to utilize that, you really don't want your phone angled down on lower than you. You want your phone or mobile device up high enough so that it is kind of at a 45-degree angle down toward you, right? Just a little bit above you at a 45-degree angle. And that's just going to give you the best image. And so you don't want to have to hold your phone up there. You know, you've seen people taking selfies and they hold their phone up above their head. Well, you want to be able to do that without having to hold it. And so I highly recommend you getting some kind of phone stand. There are all kinds of tripods for them. If you just go to, again, I just do, I have so much on Amazon, but if you go to Etsy or Amazon or other places, you just type in, phone mount, or telescoping phone mount, and you'll find those kinds of stands. Well, this item is for the audio, and this is the Movo, and this one is just really, really great. I'll put links to all of these in the description of the video, and those of you who are watching the live webinar, you'll get the link to this slide deck, and I'll have the links to all of those in there as well. So it's a great microphone. It is powered, and by the device itself. So you plug it into your port, and it has a bunch of different dongles to be able to connect to the various things. And so it's just really a really, really good one. It also has a windscreen and a shock mount. So if you want to level up, and do a little bit more, you can definitely go to the Movo. And it's good for that kind of thing. And again, around $40 for that. So if you have a DSLR camera, those kinds of things, you can go ahead and do that. The next tool is the gimbal. And so this is just one gimbal, the DJI Osmo. And this particular one, oh no, I'm sorry, we're still in lavalier mics. This is the other Movo that I like to recommend. And so again, this is if you're doing a little bit higher end production and you need to really move around. This Movo, the Edge DI, is a wireless lavalier. It works with iPhones, and so if you're on the iPhone space, this one actually plugs in. You actually get two different types of adapters, so you can actually use it with an Android device also. But I know that a lot of folks who are on iPhone have problems with some of the other ones, so this one's a little bit more expensive, but you can be assured that it's going to work with your iPhone. And so it actually plugs in with the iPhone Lightning adapter, and there is also a USB-C version for Android phones. But in essence, does the same thing. You're going to get a little bit of battery. You're going to get a battery pack, which is going to give you a much longer battery life. And then you can go ahead and same thing like the first one I showed you. You plug it in and you can now move around and talk. Now the whole point of all of this is that you want to get good audio. Next is of course the gimbal. The gimbal is for stabilizing mobile video. So if you're going to do mobile video and you're going to be recording mobile video, it's really important that the video is not shaking while people are trying to watch you. It is very distracting for the video to be moving around and otherwise, especially if you're walking and talking. Say you're doing mobile video where you're doing a tour, or you're trying to show people a product, or you're kind of doing a little bit of a vlog where you're talking people through something and you want to have some movement, and the movement is what's going to create a level of excitement and enjoyment. Well, this gimbal, the DJI OM4, allows for that. You just take your phone, you click it into the little case that holds it, and then it really does the rest. It has what do you call it? Wireless controls on the handle itself. It has its own tripod, so you can see here, you can set it up for the tripod. I tend to feel like that tripod is not. Because it's a gimbal, I tend not to use that tripod because it's too low. Like if I put it down on a surface, it has to be really high up on a surface for it to really work for me. So I tend not to use the tripod. But the handle itself gives you the ability to walk around, record, and you get this very nice, stable recording of what's going on. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay, so next I wanted to talk about some of the tools you can use for editing mobile video. So once you've recorded your video in whatever format, and again, most of this is done in the platforms themselves. So you're going to be recording on YouTube, or you're going to be recording using Instagram or Instagram Live, or using video from Facebook or otherwise. You're recording directly on the platforms, or you're directly recording from your phone. On iOS, you're just using the camera app in order to record your video. And once you get that raw recording from either iOS the iOS camera or from the Google camera. Now you want to be able to turn that into some more polished piece. Sometimes that's the case. So here's a few options that you can use for that. One is InShot. InShot is probably not my top tier option, but it is a very, very nice video editing tool. I chose ones that were either iOS and or Android compatible so that you have some options here. This one has both Android and iOS options. It allows you to be able to trim video. You can basically cut out parts in the middle of a video, and you can also take video and put them together. You can also adjust speed. So, say you've probably seen those videos where they speed up it almost feels like a time lapse, but in essence, you can speed up video as well to be able to turn something that was a 5-minute video, say, into a 1-minute video by speeding up the speed of that video and taking out the audio, because then it'll just sound like you're a gerbil. Okay, so InShot is definitely an option. Next is Powerdirector, and this happens to be my mobile video editor of choice. And so Powerdirector is both available on the Google Play Store as well as on the App Store, and it gives you this really great feature set for being able to do really high level video editing in it. So you can do, changing of different things and all kinds of video pieces. I'm sorry, we're in the Powerdirector. The Powerdirector allows you to be able to do all those kinds of video editing. You can use chroma key, so you can record with a green screen in the background and then replace the video all on mobile. You can change things. You can do multi-track. You can do transitions where you fade between the one video and the next. You can layer audio underneath, so you can put music underneath. Just a really, really great software. So Powerdirector is a great choice. Next up for the iOS folks, Lumafusion is one that I get a lot of really great feedback from people about. So Lumafusion would be one that I would recommend on iOS. Then, of course, there is the standard, which is Adobe Rush. Adobe Rush is produced, of course, by Adobe, and it's within the Creative Suite. There are applications completely cross-platform. So if you happen to be Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, otherwise, and you want to have something that works on all of them, Adobe Rush would probably be a really good choice. And like in my world where I'm using every device, I need to have something that when I am going to be working cross-platform, I want to be able to use Adobe Rush to be able to access all of those pieces. And then last but not least, I'm on my soapbox about this. Being the Google Small Business Advisor for Productivity, I also have this penchant for focusing on some of these really great things that Google is doing. And one of those things is Google Web Stories. Google Web Stories is basically the stories format without the social network. So now you can create these things without needing to go to Instagram or to Facebook or otherwise to create stories. And this allows you to be able to be found in what's called Google Discover. Google Discover is the mobile section within different parts of Google's mobile ecosystem. And people can see these photos and videos, short form stories in essence, from there. So you can see here just an example of what a story looks like and how mobile video can be utilized in this way. When we talked about that B-roll, here goes some B-roll that has been sliced together to be able to start the story. And we can then be taken through different parts of the story where they're overlaying text. This is all done from within Google Web Stories tool. In this particular case, they're using a software. But if you have a WordPress website, you can install the Google Web Stories plugin for free and produce these kinds of stories. Now, what this allows you to do is embed these stories as many times and anywhere you want to put it on your website. And now you're elevating your search engine optimization because you're making yourself more appealing to the search engine. It can have audio or it can be silent, and you can do all kinds of really fun things here. And you can see like you can do transitions and put text on screen and all kinds of fun things. And this is all being, fed into the search engine. So I just think that it's a really important and powerful technology that those who are interested in, going further with their mobile video, take advantage of the fact that you have this additional new place where you can place the content even after you've put it on TikTok or someplace else or otherwise. All right, we have reached the end of my time with you all. I have time for Q&A, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out because we're getting close to time. I just wanted to let everybody know thank you for joining us. If you attended the live show, I will email you the slide deck with the recording and everything else. For those of you who are watching after the fact, links are below in the video. So feel free to reach out to me. We do a live stream every Monday at 11 a.m. And of course, we do new webinars in Web and Beyond webinars twice a month. So we do different topics and all kinds of other things. If you have a question or if you have a suggestion for a future topic, feel free to shoot me an email and I'll be happy to do that. That being the case, those of you who are here live with me, I'm happy to answer questions. And so let's start with any questions that you have. And so, as I said before, we're in two different webinar software. So those of you who are in Zoom, use the chat. Those of you who are in the webinar software, use the Q&A panel, and I'm happy to answer questions that you might have about mobile video. And so, so Geraldine is asking about thoughts on LinkedIn video marketing. So this is, of course, if you're in the B2B space, absolutely utilize LinkedIn for this. So LinkedIn has stories. So if you're using the LinkedIn mobile application, if you open it up, you will see both for your individual profile as well as for your company page, if you have one, you will see a little circle, which is your profile icon or your company logo with a blue plus sign. If you click on those, you can actually create LinkedIn stories, both photos and videos directly from within the app and record them and then share them with your audience. And of course, people who are consuming content on LinkedIn are going to see that content and be able to do that. But that's not where that should end. On LinkedIn, especially, LinkedIn, just like any other social network, has really embraced video in a lot of ways. They still have some ways to go to match up, say, with Facebook or Instagram, but you can write articles. So if you click at the top of your home feed and then click write article when it opens up, there's like a write post or write article button. If you click that, you will be taken to a new page where you'll be given a big old canvas to be able to write long form content. Well, something that people don't realize is you can embed video in that space. And I think that is a very, very unutilized, undervalued area of the LinkedIn space. So you can record long form content or even snackable content and snackable video here. And then, of course, when people are browsing and searching LinkedIn for things, and LinkedIn search is actually far more powerful than people give it credit for. When you type in searches for things, it will actually surface those articles. So if I type in something like digital marketing, right, I'm going to find in the search articles that are related to that. And if I have embedded a video about digital marketing there, then my target audience is going to see that video there as well. So definitely consider that. LinkedIn does have a live video platform. You have to apply for it. So if you go to LinkedIn.com and go to their help section, you can type in LinkedIn Live and you will find the application form that you can complete. You can complete it for two different entities, yourself, your individual profile, or for a company page. Then when they decide that they can approve you, they will. There's a tremendous backlog, is my understanding. For example, I don't even have LinkedIn Live yet, and I've been on the platform since the very early days, and my LinkedIn profile is literally Raymond because I got my first name because I was so early on in the platform, and I have not gotten access to LinkedIn Live. So I don't know what they're doing over there, but I do know that live sessions are happening, and I would actually use LinkedIn Live as a mechanism for looking for other folks who are doing live streams and then commenting on those live streams, because that's going to create awareness for your business, right? So going out there and engaging thoughtfully in those discussions is going to bring more people aware of you and your company, and therefore bringing people to the table. So, create LinkedIn story videos, create videos within articles. If you're capable of creating newsletters, also in that same place where you can write articles, if you drop down from the top left-hand menu, you'll see like write a post, and then there'll be another option underneath that, and it'll say create a newsletter. If you can create a newsletter, you can actually also put video in those newsletters. So you can either put links to them or embed them. And so that's another place where it can be found. But I really highly recommend that if you're going to do video marketing, it would be in those articles that you're writing, and then you can post those articles to your feed and let people know about them, or you can post them to your company page feed to let people know about them. But start with the article format and then go out to the other. So I'm getting a question here from Anne about mobile video and what are some other platforms to be able to put snackable content. I think I covered this in the early portion, but I'll just repeat it for sake of clarity here. But in essence, mobile video is anywhere people are consuming the video on mobile. While you can create it on mobile, you really want to be able to think about how people are consuming it on mobile. So Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, as I said before, Google, any particular websites, and your website specifically, and making sure your website's mobile optimized. I didn't note that earlier, but something that you have to really make sure you're doing is making sure your website is mobile optimized. So go to Page Speed Insights and go ahead and identify your page speed insights for mobile optimization, and making sure that whatever you're doing video wise is loading from a reputable service like YouTube, Vimeo, Wistia, or otherwise, that's really going to render that video on mobile quickly and efficiently for people who are on mobile. So it's all of the social platforms, but it also ends up being private community platforms as well. Think about Discord and a platform called Discourse, which is a community platform. I'm a big fan of Mighty Networks, and it now hosts video inside of the courses, but they're going to bring that to groups and other places around the platform. So that allows you to be able to show mobile video within the mobile application for your audience that's inside of your communities. And then yeah, so another question, thoughts on repurposing video content for businesses that serve both B2B and B2C? I probably would separate those. The needs of B2B are going to be probably very different, and not the same value proposition for B2C. So think about it from the perspective that if I'm in B2C, the things that I care about, the benefits I'm going to receive from your services are going to be things like higher quality of life, increasing the amount of time I have, that is decreasing busy work, having more expendable income, those kinds of things, having more time and space with my family. Think about those things as B2C values that speak very well in video, versus B2B, where that is all about reducing costs, increasing operational efficiency, making sure that you are getting in front of the right people and the right audience. Those are the concerns of B2B, right? How do we innovate? How do we do those things? And those are the messages you want to tell in video, especially in mobile video, where the time you have to execute the message is very short, right? You don't have as much time as you do, say, in a longer form piece of content. So if you're going to do snackable content in that space, that's how I would do that. Okay, I have a lot more questions in the webinar chat panel. I will respond to everybody, one-to-one as we are able to, because we are running up on time and I want to be respectful of that. So again, for anybody who has any questions after the fact, feel free to email me. Thank you everybody for joining me here for this session of video marketing in the mobile age, and take care. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and join us again next time. We have more webinars coming up. If you go to w3cinc.com/events. So it's w3cinc.com/events. And for those of you who are not aware, we do have a new community called Web and Beyond Community, and it's webandbeyond.community. You're welcome to join us. It's free, and I post all of these events there, including our monthly roundtables and other events that we are hosting, including we have a big summit coming up in the fall. So feel free to join us there as well. All right, take care, everybody.